Hey everybody, it's Lebo with Lebo's Pinball, and we are back working on Getaway for another session here to just make some progress with the whole game. The last episode, we were working on getting this ball gate replaced, and everything's cool with that. Everything's working good. So now we're going to go move over here to our Supercharger. And I've got the Supercharger removed from the game. It's upside down, and we're going to do a little bit of work on it. The game was working pretty well. The Supercharger was actually working fine. There was really nothing as far as the performance of the actual the acceleration of the ball and the movement through the Supercharger that was so bad. There was some issues with the actual diverter gate, which is really what we're dealing with. But I thought that since I've got this out and it's upside down, you can see some stuff underneath here. I thought it might spend a little bit of time just to kind of show you how it works just in general, and kind of focus on how we're gonna fix things here. So anyways, let's take a look here. I've got my other game here. This is my personal Getaway, which is nice to have a functioning model while you're working on a game. And let's go ahead and just get into a test mode here. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get to test. No, went too far. Let's go to tests, and let's back into the Supercharger test. All right, so what you heard right there was like a buzz there for a minute, and that's important. So that buzz was like a like if on the flippers you have your the power stroke and then the hold coil. That's exactly what we got going on right now. We hit that power stroke, which flipped the actual diverter over, and then now it's just holding it in place. You'll see it here in a minute when I go back over to the other game. But now that we've got this here, we can take a ball, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw it up. Let's throw it up the ramp. Let's see if I can do it right. Okay, so it's pretty loud, but while we're in this test mode, what it does is it tells you how much time it takes to actually complete a cycle. And the lower the number, the faster it is. Let's see if I can slow it down. All right, so now that I've stopped this. So the whole idea with this is the ball gets accelerated through these coils. There's coils that are behind the Supercharger housing here. And I'll show them to you over here in the actual game that we're working on, and how this works. So this whole thing is flipped upside down from where it is over from what you just saw. So when the ball comes in from this area, you've got this whole diverter coil, which your diverter gate. When the coil is activated in a certain way, it will shoot at a certain over here to where it will send the ball over to the coils, and it will hold it there. When it's done and it gets released, there's a spring here that will then push it back, which will allow the ball to then just be sent back. So whenever it's actually held open like this and the ball comes over to the coils, right here you've got an opto and a coil, an opto and a coil, an opto and a coil. So as soon as it hits this first opto, it will trigger this coil for a short period of time to actually grab the ball, and it accelerates it this direction. Once it does that and the ball is headed this way, the coil is turned off, it continues its momentum heading this direction, which will then trip this next coil, which will then fire up this coil and accelerate the ball even more going this way, trips the next opto, turns on the coil, accelerates the ball, the coil goes off, ball is sent around this direction, and momentum brings it up here, and it just completes the cycle, and it just keeps going. So the better that you've got all of this working, the optos, the coils, the current, and everything provided to it all, it's going to spin around really fast. And I will tell you, my game that I just showed you, it's working okay, but I've seen some that work a lot better than that. They really spin the ball around fast. And this one is already doing it really well. So it makes me think that even on my game, I might even have an issue with maybe, I don't know, one of these, maybe the middle opto isn't quite picking up, and it's just, not not sending it through fast, or maybe I don't know, there's a connection on one of the coils that isn't quite giving it the, you know, the acceleration that it needs. I don't know. I need to check into it on my game at some point. But anyways, I just want to show that here. And so anyways, we're going to switch back over here to this whole little diverter gate and get this coil replaced. So I mentioned before that this coil, I wanted to just re-sleeve it because this was moving kind of sluggish. And when I go to pull this out, try to pull this coil out, and it is stuck in here, which means that this coil more than likely has just gotten hot. So I have ordered a new coil, and here it is. But the sleeve that came with it it's really long. Actually, I've got this. No, it's right. I've got it oriented right, but it's too long. And it could just be that, this coil is used in a lot of applications, but this particular one, it just does not need to be that long. What it really needs to have is just pretty much your standard, 1/2 inch by 1 1/4 inch coil. I'm sorry, sleeve, such that once it's put in place here, there's just enough of it that hangs out here, that the brackets that hold it in place, it's fine. This plunger, if I use this long sleeve, what'll end up happening, this is probably not a really good demonstration, but it would end up interfering right here. See that slot? That's right where a C-clip goes in place, and it would be a problem. So anyways, we're just putting the standard sleeve back in. I'm going to go ahead and work on putting this back together, and then we'll take a look at it from there. All right, so we've got the coil installed. Got the spring here, the little clip that I mentioned earlier. The screws that I put in, I'm sorry, the nuts, not the screws, but these are the larger nuts. I think this is maybe a 1024. I don't remember the exact size, but these are the bigger ones. These are a little bit smaller. Don't know why they varied in size, but that's all put back in place. Everything's done pretty much. I'm going to be replacing plastics here, as well as the whole supercharger housing, just to make it look a little nicer. I've got a whole new set over here. I've got nice, freshly chromed plastic. It's going to look really good once it goes in place. So we're going to flip it over, put those on, and then this will be done. All right, the supercharger is all together, looking pretty good here. We've got the new flap from earlier, rebuilt this whole sign here. It's got a metal bracket behind it, makes it really strong. Balls will hit this and break it, so having that metal bracket behind it is really nice and strong. So anyway, it's got the new plastics. The old ones were, quite yellowed out, looking pretty bad and broken off. You got this little guide here that was broken off, so we got that new piece put in. The cover over the supercharger itself, brand new chromed plastic, and you also got the other piece of plastic here. So ready to go back in the game. We're just going to check out a few other things before throwing it in, but thanks for watching, and we'll pick it up next time.